It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We've got a great program for you today, so please hit that share button and let's get educated. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. Many of you know that MyPillow was kicked out of most big box stores simply for supporting Donald Trump, but their loss is your gain. With the holiday season upon us, MyPillow is offering their classic pillow for just $20, $20 when you use the access code Dr. Duke. That's D-R-D-U-K-E. Today, we start in Scottsdale, Arizona, where parents are demanding the resignation of a school board president after it was discovered that he's been keeping dirt on families, private dossiers on all families who oppose CRT and such like issues.
So what's happening is we have Jan Michael Greenberg. He's the president of the Scottsdale School Board in Arizona, as you said, and he's 27 years old. So he's a go-getter, I guess, wanting to be a school board president. He has no kids in the district or kids at all. And he does share a living space and a computer, which is relevant in this story, with his father, Mark Greenberg. And so it was discovered by parents that Jan, on the home computer that Mark technically owns, Daddy owns, there's this whole dossier that has information about parents, about their social security numbers, about their driver's license, about if they had divorce records, or pretty much any personal information, banking information, anything that, should be kept to the individual. Don't worry, it's being kept safe on the computer of Mark Greenberg. Well, until he sent it out accidentally to many of his families, right? Oh, whoops. Oh, you're meaning it wasn't kept safe. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was just being kept safe. But it's not. So what's happening is there's a group of mothers. Go moms, go. Dads, you go too. A group of mothers discovered that Jan Michael Greenberg had access to said Google Drive where all this information had been kept. And again, personal documents that if leaked out could be bad. And it was on 47 different people that they discovered. So 47 people, and Daddy, Mark, who owns, again, the computer and the house that little son Jan lives in, he was doing his own detective work and hiring a detective so that they could collect this information. And it makes you wonder, we talk about all the time about these adult children that exist out there. Well, this is the perfect example of an adult child, because he's 27 years old and lives at home with his dad, and his dad is taking care of basically taking out what he views as the trash to not have any parents cause any stir for little Jan there at the school board meetings because he's the president. So Daddy Mark is trying to protect his son. Is that what's going on? Because we all just don't understand, based on the information we have, why Jan is even school board president to begin with, and then why Daddy Mark is coming to his rescue.
Take a look at what this video has to say about Jan's dad overseeing operations. It's almost like it's aspiring.
She said to watch out for his dad, Jan Michael's dad.
So she was like one of the first cars here, and I pulled my motorcycle directly facing her car. And she has no idea that I even have a motorcycle. And I've covered up my license plate. So she's just a lunatic. Oh, here we go, the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me.
Oh, so yucky. See?
Look, this is good though, that they get this kind of publicity.
They wanted to.
Somewhere around here, we have a private investigator who's writing down all their plates.
Yes. That you've hired?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had our law firm do it so that it's protected, so that we can get the information.
As you can see, Daddy Mark is very proud of himself, and so are all those moms. They were, if you watch the full video, and you can find the full-length video that we were able to see on Christopher Rufo's Twitter page, and Christopher Rufo has been doing basically all the work in the land to expose all the CRT in classrooms and all the just crazy happening at school districts across the nation. So Christopher Rufo has a full video, but as you just saw in that little bit, they are fangirling this guy who's admitting fully, yeah, we got our investigator out here, don't worry, shh, you can't see who he is because we got to keep it on the down low. But don't worry, I got my body cam on, and I've been taking a look at everyone's license plates so we can dox them later on. And there's that Gadsden flag again. Well, you can just see how like they're so proud of themselves at getting those parents who care.
They're not even trying to hide it. I mean, they actually went through a law firm, in his words, so this could be secure. So you got, it's like the Rockford Files. You got your dad
taking it back, Rockford Files.
You got your dad on a motorcycle with a body cam harassing people. You've got a law firm and filming of license plates. You've got dossiers now. It really is imagine what happened to Donald Trump for 4 years. Now, coming to a public school near you. One wonders if any of those dossiers include pee pictures from Russia surrogates.
Ooh, or could maybe they're also, since we're talking about laptops and videos on laptops, is there any drugs present with ladies who don't have clothing on? Hunter Biden? Anyone? No? Maybe not? After the break, we'll come back and we'll take a look at what the parents are doing about this.
Are you a fan of the show? Consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation of $99 a year keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us to pledge your support and receive our signature tumbler as a token of our appreciation. We've got much more to come. Stay with us.
So in the first segment, we were basically laying the groundwork to let you know that in Scottsdale, Arizona, the president of the school board, Jan Michael, has a father who's named Mark, who is basically Daddy Mark, because Daddy Mark is trying to get all the information he can on those pesky parents who care about their kids' education in hopes of then protecting little Jan Michael. It's kind of like in Arrested Development, George Michael, but it's not the same, because that was actually funny. This is serious, and we have a group of parents who at least are trying to fight back against what is happening because they are about to be doxxed with all that private information that has been kept on them. Let's take a look at a news report explaining this via the parents.
I think we identified 47 people that were background checked, divorce decrees, social security numbers, property records, mortgages.
Amanda Ray is one of those 47 people. She says those files were found on a Google Drive that came from Scottsdale Unified School District's governing board president, Jan Michael Greenberg.
At the hands of an elected official that has found me and other parents to be a threat, we now have to watch over our shoulder.
Ray and other parents started a petition to recall members of the governing board back in August. She says that's when she noticed Greenberg's father following her, as shown in body camera footage on the Google Drive.
I knew exactly who he was right when he did it. I didn't know he had a body cam on him, but I did see, I ended up leaving and coming back and parking in a different place, but he sat there and snapped photos, and he was concealing his identity.
The school district sent a letter home to parents Wednesday saying the computer and files is maintained by Greenberg's father, not the board president. The school district also says their hands are tied, as Greenberg is an elected official.
Well, their hands may be tied, but we're learning now that the police know how to get involved, and so the police are taking action after they figured out what was happening here. And just to go back to, when the whole story broke last week, the Arizona Republic had actually reported that a copy of the Google Drive that parents created was obtained by the Arizona Republic, and it included screenshots of Facebook conversations parents had about their opposition to topics such as critical race theory and COVID-19 mask mandates. It also included emails sent to school board members calling for Greenberg's resignation, photos and videos of parents protesting the school district, and screenshots of parents' Facebook profiles that indicated their support for former President Donald Trump. And the thing that's kind of funny about this whole thing is it's not like someone else had to break into it. It was Greenberg himself being like, oops, I accidentally shared it with a parent. So, that technology, it just gets in the way of, us trying to ruin people's lives. It just, it gets in the way. But the Scottsdale Police Department had released a statement now saying that they are aware of the allegations against Scottsdale Unified School District President Jan Michael Greenberg. We are conducting an investigation into the matter and will report our findings once it is complete. Now, I know that's boilerplate. They have to say it, but at least the police are involved now.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that the police are going to launch a actual investigation, you know, like one that law enforcement's allowed to do, as opposed to the one that the Greenbergs launched against the moms and dads of their committee, of their school board area. And you know, it is. You go back to that comment that Jan's dad made about here comes Daddy Mark. Speaking of a third obscure TV reference, it reminds me on Frasier, when Frasier wanted to run for condo board president, but had to use his father to be his puppet. We're back to this again, right? And so the thing that got me was the Gadsden flag in all of this, because, you know, they're mocking this as some kind of paranoid reaction that, oh, this "don't tread on me" is so backward, it's so right wing. And you're doing exactly what that flag is supposed to tell you not to do, right? When the Gadsden flag says, "Don't tread on me, don't use the power of government," even if you're a 27-year-old basement dweller in Daddy's condo, and Daddy apparently likes to play dress up in Evel Knievel outfits as he goes cruising around Scottsdale, Arizona on his motorbike, pursuing moms and soccer moms, harassing soccer moms. But the Gadsden flag looms large over this, as Daddy Greenberg mocked this as lunacy, he said at one point. Is it lunacy, really? I mean, when you've got this kind of Mission Impossible, Wild Wild West back play going on. I mean, it's somebody's got daddy issues, and somebody thinks he's Batman. That's all I got to say about these clowns.
The Robin and the Batman. Well, just so we know, the police are investigating, but now we did get word from the Scottsdale Unified School District Superintendent, Scott Menzel, what a name, who announced that they are going to be doing an investigation on the dossier. And they said today the Scottsdale Unified School District began the process of hiring an independent forensic investigator to determine if any school resources were used to compile, access, or modify the private dossier allegedly created and maintained in Google Drive folders by Mark Greenberg, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We take our responsibility as good stewards of public funds very seriously. Good to know. If
they've got if Greenberg and his daddy have information about your moms and dads of the school board, your kids' parents, then obviously they abused your. Where do you think they got it from? You think they found this without the help of the resources they already had? You're telling me they didn't know who these people were? Well, this again, like you say, Katie, they have to say those things. But a forensics organization now. And by the way, they don't want to waste resources because they're very good stewards of this. But now you've got not only all the time and effort and money spent to dox these moms, now you've got the investigation. An investigation that's also going on by the police department, who probably will do it much more neutrally, impartially, and professionally. So even when they came at the end of all of this nonsense story, and I think this is a nice long segment where we have laid out the ins and outs of this so that we all can understand it. This is just high-level espionage conducted by a couple of crazy cops, wannabe police officers, guys who probably shop at militia stores, right, when they get their little gear about how they can go undercover. And it's almost like the kind of thing you can't make up. I mean, 27-year-old wet behind the ear basement dweller being controlled or being guided by his very, very odd father to take it upon themselves to provide confidential dossiers. Look, if you possess all those Social Security numbers on moms and dads, that's a big deal. And hopefully the Scottsdale, Arizona police are going to recognize just how big a deal.
Today's show is sponsored by Clean Start Hand Sanitizer. For an odor-free foam hand sanitizer that lasts 2 hours and provides 19 refills, visit freedomproject.com/clean. That's KLEEN to order yours today.
Over and over and over, we are being told that critical race theory is not taught in public schools. It is not. Except it is. But it's not. Well, we have a confirmation from a, I guess, whistleblower, if you'd like to call him that he says indubitably CRT is being taught and that everyone should keep looking for it. So he's giving moms and dads and teachers who care a little encouragement to keep on looking.
This is the lie. This is the big lie that they can't. What always amuses me when you watch national pundits, the CNN crowd, the MSNBC crowd, Democrat politicians talking about critical race theory. We had a hearing here in Wisconsin, and we had one big mouth senator, Democrat senator, who said, "I'll give you $100 if you have any evidence that critical race theory is being taught in our elementary." He had like 40 emails in the first 30 seconds, never paid anybody a dime. This is how they play it, right? When something really glaring and obvious comes up, the powers that be deny it and mock the people who do it. And then, meanwhile, when they're talking about what's good for our kids, what a shame. Our kids need what is it that they're all recommending and telling us should be in the schools? It's exactly what critical race theory is.
And the whistleblower we are speaking of here is in Indiana. It's the district science coordinator and instructional coach for the Indianapolis Public Schools. His name is Tony Kinnett. And just before we play his clip, because we want to play the entire thing, he lays it out very well that critical race theory is being taught in school. He's in Indianapolis, big school district. So take what's happening in little Indiana and think about what's happening in your neck of the woods, wherever that may be. And he is the district science coordinator and instructional coach. And so he goes around to various schools. So it's not like he's just in his classroom being the one teaching CRT. He's seen what all these teachers are doing all across Indianapolis. So he has a good understanding that, yeah, it's definitely being taught.
And the thing is that once you listen to this, which is a crystal clear articulation of what we've all been saying.
I'm the science coach and admin in the largest public school district in Indiana. I'm in dozens of classrooms a week, so I see exactly what we're teaching our students. When we tell you that schools aren't teaching critical race theory, that it's nowhere in our standards, that's misdirection. We don't have the quotes and theories as state standards per se. We do have critical race theory in how we teach. We tell our teachers to treat students differently based on color. We tell our students that every problem is a result of white men, and that everything Western civilization built is racist. Capitalism as a tool of white supremacy. Those are straight out of Kimberly Crenshaw's main points, verbatim in Critical Race Theory, the writings that formed the movement. This is in math, history, science, English, the arts, and it's not slowing down. If students of color have lower reading scores, it's because of inequity. Therefore, we take from the white students and give to the color students. That's Richard Delgado, straight out of CRT and Introduction. All teaching is political, with reality and facts taking the back seat. That's Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings, who outlined how she saw critical race theory fleshed out in public schools in 1995. When schools tell you that we aren't teaching critical race theory, it means one thing. Go away and look into our affairs no further. It isn't about transparency, it isn't about cultural relevance, it's race essentialism, painted to look like the district cares about students of color. We call it anti-racism, so you feel bad if you disagree with our segregationist pedagogy. It's taking advantage of kids' vulnerability and parents' inactivity to preen over social snake oil schemes designed to create division. Parents, when we tell you critical race theory isn't taught in our schools, we're lying. Keep looking.
And whatever, yes, big ups and props
job,
and whatever you want, adulation to this man. And I love how deadpan he is about this too, right? He actually has sources for each of his contentions.
To be fair, he's a science guy.
Yeah, so you can
that's
totally
why
tell.
He.
You can totally tell.
I mean, so science, as if science and facts and things matter.
Now, if you listen to his carefully, to his litany of observations, I got to tell you, this is a textbook, if we can use that term, a textbook example of Soviet propaganda. Every single thing he said that we are up to in the schools, the lying, the deception, the idea that everything is always only political, the idea that, as he said before, that you blame the white man for everything. This is a stunningly, I mean, the Soviets weren't nearly as hung up on race as we are today, but this is exactly how you take race or any other subject and you turn it into a Soviet propaganda campaign.
Yeah, and Tony tweeted out his response, and then he actually put a couple other responses. And he said the anti-racism definition was pulled from our Black Lives Matter and 1619 Project resolutions. And then he wrote, yes, it's true that Nicole Hannah-Jones, the one who came up with 1619 Project, admitted she made up parts of 1619 Project, but that's just icing on the cake. And then he puts a link to some of the Indianapolis School Board documents. And then he puts another thing, an actual email that was sent out to all the principals in the district saying, yes, we told principals at the beginning of the year to lie to parents and tell them we weren't using CRT in schools. Yes, we continue to lie.
Yep, and everything they said is common sense observations, right? Nobody, I don't think, again, there's anybody out there that's surprised by this. Is this going to stop the lying in this direction? Nope. Is this going to stop the segregation and the racialization of your kids? Nope. And the big question, and the only question that we can't answer for sure, is what's the future for this Indiana science teacher? What's going to happen to him? We know what the Soviets actually did when you betrayed the party. You got Trotskyized, right? You got an ice pick in your ear. Let's see what happens to our poor Indiana teacher when all this hits the fan. It's time now for some real education. Instant Classic gives us a chance at the end of every show to talk a little bit about something that's lighter, frothier, more aesthetic, art, what education could be if we weren't too busy lying about education and using it as a tool of propaganda. And speaking of which, we're going to spend today's and all week's Instant Classic just looking at some great quotes from King Lear. Every time you want to get away from the reality of life and you want to understand life at the bone, where it is darkest and sweetest, one of the best books you can pick up is King Lear. It does not disappoint. It deals so compactly with suffering and the response to suffering and how the lies we tell ourselves are the lies that destroy us. Seems like very good subject matter with all of the lies that are being told to the American people today. So I want to start with this quote from King Lear, a play that was first produced and put on stage in 1606. I happen to think it's Shakespeare's greatest play. And here you have King Lear, who has been disowned by his children. He divides his kingdom up in three, gives each of his daughters and their husbands a part of the kingdom. And the minute he is no longer powerful, no longer king, the two oldest daughters conspire to destroy him. And at the middle of the play, he's locked out in a terrible storm. He's locked out of the house, out of the palace, to wander with no one by his side except his young fool, who's trying to care for him as the old man gets sicker and sicker in the head, becomes more and more mentally disturbed. And in this beautiful passage, Lear is feeling sorry for himself until he comes across a poor beggar hiding in the straw, being rained on. In other words, as bad as King Lear's fortunes have fallen, Lear stumbles across someone who's much worse. And when he sees this, he has a tremendous revelation. He says, "Poor naked wretches, wheresoe'er you are, that bide the pelting of this pitiless storm, how shall your houseless heads and unfed sides, your looped and windowed raggedness, defend you from seasons such as these? Oh, I have taken too little care of this. Take physic, pomp. Expose thyself to feel what wretches feel, that thou mayst shake the superflux to them and show the heavens more just." It is his own suffering that allows him to empathize with the suffering of another. And what he says there is powerful. The only way suffering matters, and the only way we can truly address suffering in the world, is if we first understand what suffering is ourselves. And you can't do that abstractly. You can't do it in the classroom. It has to be your own personal suffering that will allow you to understand the suffering of others. It's a remarkable observation, one that wouldn't get much play in the dreamy, denying reality world of our own making.
All right, before we go, let's show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today, we'd like to give a shout out to Brenda from Cottonwood, Arizona. Brenda, thank you for supporting us. And that wraps up this show for Freedom Project. I'm Katie, and he's Dr. Duke.
Until next time, stay educated, my friends.